Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. Now, the content that we're going to dive into for this episode tonight is Biden's growing list of gun control demands. It's no longer just magazines. It's no longer just ARs. Now the list is everything that you could possibly imagine. Everything's going to be linked in the description box below if you want to find out more, and I cannot wait to walk through this one with you. Now, if you are new or you're a returning viewer, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and making sure the notification bell is on. We need as many people as we can to get into the fold to help us pass the blessing on to the next generation, and thank you so much in advance for your consideration. Now, the content tonight is brought to you by LAS Concealment, and if you are looking for a holster for your favorite freedom tool, LAS Concealment is a good choice to examine. Everything is customized to individual freedom pieces. Everything's made of Kydex. These are extremely secure and snug fits for said freedom tool. They're tested by the most extreme special forces units in the United States, and they have inside and the outside waistband options. This is something you should check out. There's a link in the description box below, and thank you so much to LAS Concealment for making this episode of Freedom possible. But my brothers and sisters, we've got to dive into this because you know as well as I do. Gun controllers have a set determined outcome. They want guns gone. That's what they want. They can't get there, so they've got to use incrementalism. Well, Biden missed his cue card on this one because in this Guardian article, I'm going to show you how Biden's comments after the Mississippi tragedy just go straight out the window, straight to the end result. Listen to this. In a second, I'm going to show this list to you. Oh, it's nuts. All right, so here's the article we're talking about. Biden pleads with Congress to pass gun control after 6 killed in Mississippi. Again, the Mississippi tragedy that we're talking about. President says thoughts and prayers aren't enough after Richard Crum, human filth, 52, suspected of carrying out mass situation in I can't even say the name of the city. Here's what he said, quote, "Enough," the president's statement had said, noting that there had been at least 73 shootings in which at least 4 victims were wounded or killed in the first 48 days of this year. Invoking a phrase that pro-gun advocates often use to deflect from discussions after a mass situation. Biden's statement added, quote, "Thoughts and prayers aren't enough. Gun violence is an epidemic and Congress must act now. We need common sense gun reform law." Well, so there's the common sense drop. But what is he exactly talking about? Since, thoughts and prayers is actually a meaningful comment made by humans feeling for one another, not deflecting from gun control, Guardian. But anyway, let's digress. Let's look at what he's actually talking about. Because this right here, remember how it's just common sense gun reform. Listen to this litany of a gun control list. Biden specifically mentioned requiring background checks on all gun sales. That's universal background checks. That requires a universal registry. You have to know where every single one is so you know where they're going. Banning firearms with high capacities for ammunition. So that's any firearm that accepts a magazine with a large capacity. That's a whole lot of them, specifically since large capacity in some places is more than 9. Anyway, let's keep going. Prohibiting domestic abusers from legally having weapons regardless of their relationships to those that they have preyed on. Now he's making an allusion to the Violence Against Women Act and the Fifth Circuit's ruling that said domestic accused abusers didn't lose their Second Amendment rights because it was an accusation. But let's keep going. Requiring that safe storage of guns. So now there's going to be a federal government officer or entity that's going to check where your guns are stored. Not only do they have a national registry, not only to know who has what and where, they're also going to demand exactly where they're stored, which means door-to-door checking. Anyway, keep going. And allowing firearms manufacturers to face civil liability for knowingly putting weapons of war on our streets. Now he's talking about the PLCAA, the Protection on Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. That's something that protects firearms manufacturers from being held responsible from a terrible incidents that are occurring when criminals use firearms. It's not the fact that a firearm exists that the crime was created. It's the fact that it was used by a criminal. That's the whole point. Lefties want to put it on the gun. Everyone else in the universe wants to put it on the criminal. But anyway, I digress. So that's the new litany of lists that Biden has now put out. That's his new stance. Common sense gun reform means every single thing that can possibly be introduced as gun control. Not to mention privacy concerns, not to mention Second Amendment concerns. Nope, just no more thoughts and prayers, no more rights either. That's what he's saying. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing because this kind of flies in the face of what we're talking about. Biden's remarks came after authorities alleged that 52-year-old human filth unleashed a deadly rampage in Arca Butler, an unincorporated county, and fewer than 300 people in Mississippi's Tate County. And keep in mind, what Biden's requesting now, the exact same thing that he requested after the horrible incident in Michigan. Armed with a shotgun and 2 handguns. Both of those things don't fall in the criteria of what he's requiring. Just like the Michigan incident where you had someone with a handgun, and yet Biden says ban ARs and ban high-capacity magazines, even though they were nowhere in sight. Same thing in this one, nowhere in sight. But it's not about a solve for the problem. It's about the idea that there's a target. You have to identify it, isolate it, and eliminate it. That's what's going on here, and that's why Biden's laundry list is getting longer and longer and longer. Obviously, there's a really good joke there, but I'm going to sidestep it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments field below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.